Welcome to the Game Tackle, where we blitz every down and call it like we see it. I am Donja Young, alongside Brandon Cottrell and Dylan Schatzel. And today we've got a loaded episode. The NBA playoffs are heating up, NFL offseason storylines continue to shift, and some sports conversations are getting louder than ever. Later, we've got our 2-minute drill, Dylan's chopping block, and another flag on the play. So without further ado, let's just hop right into our opening drive. We always hear fans say old school teams would dominate in any era. But sports evolve, rules change, athletes get faster. Schemes also change as well. They get more advanced. So flip the conversation. Which dynasty from a sports history would struggle the most if they had to compete in today's game? Would the old school physical teams survive modern day speed? Or will legendary coaches adapt? Or some eras romanticize more than reality would support? Let me start with you, Trill. What do you think about an old school modern team facing today?
Oh, man. Yeah, it's hard. I can almost look at all different dynasties throughout different eras. And no matter the sport, I mean, every athlete has gotten bigger, stronger, faster. It's ridiculous if you try to compare the past against the future. That's why you always have to say in their era, in their time. That always follows whenever you talk about the greats, because you could probably take a great from back then and then you can probably pull them up against a backup. Honestly, can't say this about everybody, but the athleticism is just probably more superior. Jump higher, faster. I mean, there are those rare breeds where you can say Deion Sanders. You know, nobody's probably going to be faster than Deion or play better than Deion. But there's some athletic types that can possibly be as athletic, as fast. So, yeah, it's hard to talk about the past and how they would match up, but bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Trill. Let me pose this question to you, Dylan. Could the bad boy Pistons survive in today's NBA rules?
No. No, absolutely not. I mean, you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, doing all this, and he gets a foul, and no one even touched him, right? So, right. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They would probably foul out as a team by the end of the first quarter.
No kidding.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, hey Trill, let me flip this one back to you as well, right? So let's take one of our teams from the 1980s who maintained nothing but a strong, superior defense. Do you think they could survive in today's pass-heavy league?
Defense won championships. I still think that model lives today. Smash Mouth, when I almost want to jump to the 70s, of course, being a Dolphins fan. I didn't live through that era, but I watched so many highlight reels, so many documentaries, and they were a no-name defense, and they won. And they did it a lot by shutting out. They almost shut out in the Super Bowl if it wasn't for that botched punt. But defense I think will always win championships. Of course, the high-flying offense sells the tickets and puts the seats in the butts in the seats. But right now, defense, I think, is slowly progressing back. I think they're starting to understand more of the schemes, the gimmick schemes, and think about the Wildcat offense. That didn't last too long. So the defense does come around. I think they're usually a step or two behind. But I think the defense might be coming back around.
Okay. So, Dylan, I'm going to flip it back to you again. Let me ask you this one. Could old school baseball dynasties keep up with today's analytics?
Depends what dynasties we're looking at. Because if we're talking Babe Ruth dynasties, Babe Ruth's not even touching a baseball in this era. So he's not even touching a baseball in this era, dude. I mean, 0 for 98 probably. I mean, it's unreal. Now if we're talking like, Nolan Ryan era and stuff like that, then yeah, I think honestly, a lot of that talent could benefit in this league today. But no, not way back. Pitch speeds are completely different. I mean, 100's the standard now. So
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I guess we'll just leave that one there for another day. So let's keep things moving right along. And I want to take it to the 2-minute drill now, because if your Twitter is like my Twitter, it's been blowing up all day. Trill, what have you got for us?
Yes. I got some juicy updates and, of course, the Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini story. So the latest is photos have been coming out and word has been coming out of a boat trip in 2021. This was while Diana Rossini was pregnant. It was 2 months prior to her birth of Michael. So the newest thing is Diana Rossini's husband is requesting a DNA test. I don't doubt that. I would definitely be on board with that as well. But also some more stuff is possibly leaking about Julio Jones. So Julio Jones, back when he was traded to the Titans, that was where some whispers of a first-round pick was supposed to be part of the trade. A story got leaked by Rossini, kind of cooled the market a little bit. Next you know, the Titans made the trade without suffering a first-round pick. So this stems all the way back. We got here pictures at the bar in 2020. We got a boat trip in 2021. A birth of a kid named Michael. Everything is adding up to where we think this may have been going on for the full 6 years. So a lot going on there. I kind of want to almost steer to some lighter note before we dive into this. Has everybody been paying attention to the carousel of the Jets and the Seahawks with what they've done in the past with Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, and Sam Darnold? So I'm going to quickly recap. If we haven't known, of course, Russell Wilson started with the Seahawks, Geno Smith started with the Jets, and then Sam Darnold was drafted to the Jets. Then, of course, Geno ends up going to the Seahawks, backs up Wilson, then took over for Wilson. Then Sam Darnold gets signed to replace Geno Smith at Seattle. Now Geno Smith is with the Jets, and Russell Wilson just had a meeting and possibly might be signing with the New York Jets. So you got Geno Smith and Russell Wilson on the same team again. I can't keep track of the carousel. They're always going to follow each other until Russell retires. But let's back up the Rossini stuff. More updates. Is this story ever going to end? Is the leaks ever going to stop? Can someone turn off the faucets? It's at high pressure right now. What's going on with this?
I mean, dude, it's unreal. I mean, these guys have been, going at it since before I was even legal. I mean, before I was even 18, dude. I mean, this is nuts. I think a lot more stories are going to keep coming out. There's going to be more and more. The internet doesn't stop, and especially X, right? X doesn't stop. Twitter, whatever you guys call it. X does not stop, and X is going to keep coming out with the memes. He's going to be memed on the whole season. She's going to be memed on the rest of his life. The kid might even get memes whenever he grows up. I mean, this whole thing is never going to end. It's never ending, and who knows? His dad might be a, runner-up Super Bowl champion.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess, like you say, man, things are just going to keep coming up and keep happening until Vrabel faces some kind of accountability. That's what I'm thinking. Like, once he has a punishment of some sort for this behavior, then maybe everything will die down. Until then, I guess it's just going to keep coming up. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I just feel sorry for the other two. Go ahead, Jerome.
Well, I was going to say the NFL speaks so much about change and, support for women. What about adultery? Like, what's
What about it?
like? I mean, I thought that was a crime, of course, not a prison punishable crime, but it is adultery. It's not something that is lightly looked at. I would think with the access that both of them had, that this is a little more than just a slap on the wrist. This is a little more than, hey, I'm going to resign and let's just cover it up with, I had some real hard conversations. But, let's see how long the story goes and how much we get flooded with all this news. So I'm enjoying it.
I will tell you. I will tell you this, Joe Trill. I mean, we heard a couple weeks ago when this story first broke. We heard scenarios involving perhaps some meddling going on with A.J. Brown, right? And now we're hearing this. It might have went even as far back as with Julio Jones.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me this still doesn't warrant an NFL investigation? Like, at what point does the NFL be like, hey, maybe we should step in and find out what really happened?
In Miami, we had a boat trip, and here we lost a first-round pick. Let's see what this boat trip leads to. So, apparently ours didn't leave the dock, though, so who knows?
You guys think Rossini and Vrabel paid for that fake J.P. Morgan story just to see if it covered their track or anything?
I think any other news, I wouldn't be surprised if a major player gets cut or a major trade happens or something in the Patriots organization to try to cover up this news. They're going to try to do anything possible to try to cover it up because that's what they do best. That's what the Patriots do. All those asterisks they call rings, but,
Yeah, I mean, I just feel sorry for the kids and the spouses. They're all innocent in this, and they got to deal with all of it. You know what I mean? That's what sucks the most, man. All right. In professional sports, results are the only thing people care about. So, Dylan, who's starting to run out of excuses?
Yeah, we're going to go over to Florida for this one. Right where I live, actually, pretty close to home. We're going to go with Todd Bowles, who is on the chopping block this time. Not even Todd Bowles expects Todd Bowles to be a head coach in 2027. So this is definitely a mulligan year for him in Tampa. The fans don't like him. I don't know why the front office even brought him back this year. He's got a great defense set sometimes. I just don't think if the Buccaneers do not win the division this year, I think Todd Bowles is gone. And he's headed into early retirement. So Todd Bowles is definitely going to be on the chopping block this year. And we'll see if anything can save him, fix him. We'll see if Ruben Bain's the answer. I don't know. We'll see.
I guess we'll just wait and see. I mean, whew. Yeah, that team has never quite been the same after Brady left, right?
Nope.
Well, all right. Let's just keep it moving right along. Yeah. Go ahead, Drew.
No, I was just going to say that division, it's always a toss-up every year. It's funny that both the AFC South and the NFC South, they rotate. They seem to not really have a strong, dynasty, I guess you would almost say, a division winner consistently. It's always a toss-up. So
I don't even know if winning the division would keep Bowles as head coach. I think the Bucs are going to need something monumental to happen for him to return in a year. So
yeah. I mean, hey, they say all things runs its course eventually, right? I guess we'll just wait and see for how long they care to keep Bowles along that course. All right, so let's just keep things going, fellas. And before we get to the flag on the play, let's get into something that might split people. Places like Chuck E. Cheese and Dave & Buster's are built around games, prizes, flashing lights, and tickets. For a lot of people, it's harmless fun. Birthday parties, arcades, family nights. But others argue that places like this are quietly introducing kids to psychology of gambling earlier than we realize. You play, you lose. You chase tickets. You keep feeding money into games, hoping for a bigger payout. And while it's not a casino, some people say the reward system feels very similar. Bright lights, near misses, prize chasing, the idea that just one more try could get you something bigger. So here's the debate. Are places like Chuck E. Cheese and Dave & Buster's harmless entertainment or just family fun? Or are they early conditioning for gambling behavior later in life? So Dylan, I'm going to open this debate up to you. What do you think?
Yeah. So from experience, I'll just start there. When I was a kid, I loved going to, an arcade. I loved, playing playing the games that won me tickets because I always wanted the big prizes. There's a prize desk at arcades or Dave & Buster's, Chuck E. Cheese, etc., to where you have to get such amount of tickets to get that prize. So I would always go and play all the games that I think I can win the most tickets at. And I just kept playing and playing, no matter if I thought they were fun, nothing, just because I wanted to get that prize. And a lot of these games, man, are built just like slot machines. Some of them are built like slot machines. Some of them are built, it's kind of, in a way, I feel not a good thing for kids to witness. I mean, I know for me, as example, it's created a gambling problem. I'm not going to lie. I go to the casino all the time and I look back at, hey, when did this start for me? Did this start in the arcade when I wanted to keep winning this amount of tickets to get a prize? And now I keep chasing my dollars and keep chasing. So, like you said, the lights and, the sounds even, they get you to want to, I guess, I don't know if gambling's the word to use as a kid, but they want you to go and keep playing and keep putting money in that machine until you get what you want. And that's kind of how casinos run. I don't know if you guys know this. A lot of casinos owners actually own arcades. They own arcades. So I don't know if it is psychologically the reasoning, but I could definitely see it. And from my experience, I think it absolutely is.
Okay, Trill, let's get your take on this situation. Do you feel the same or do you feel slightly different?
Yes. So I do agree to an extent. I will put that out in the beginning that, yes, the way they look are very common to with the lights, with the system, with the prizes, with how everything's set up, that a game in an arcade does look very similar to a slot machine. I can see the link there, but I can also speak from experience. I was not one that was wrapped up into the gambling aspect. I will agree, I am a very big gamer. I grew up in the Chuck E. Cheese eras. I had all of my birthdays before 10 were at a Chuck E. Cheese, and that developed into a console gaming and everything, and I actually lived in Las Vegas. I am not a gambler. I am one of those sports gamblers that I'll play fantasy football, and I may throw 50 on the Super Bowl. I don't gamble. I'm Irish, and I don't have the luck of the Irish. I lived in Las Vegas, and the only time I visited a casino was mostly with friends, but on a course of a year, I probably threw less than 500 on a blackjack table. So I can say from experience, it did not lead to any intense gambling, but I can definitely see where you get, the dopamine hit of winning and getting a prize, and that did lead to my gaming because, I'm getting the high scores, and the first-person shooter games, you're getting, the numbers and the kills and all the fun stuff, but it leads to other things as far as possible addictions, but I do see the linkage. But I will say from experience, I love going to Dave & Buster's. I grew up going to Chuck E. Cheese. I bring my family. I bring my daughter. We have fun playing the games. I hope she doesn't become a gambler. That's not one talk I have on my list, but if I had to add it, speak of the devil, and then so, yeah, as I was saying, with my daughter walking in, that we go to Chuck E. Cheese, we go to Dave & Buster's. We enjoy a good time without the gambling. The money always goes in her pocket to the coins. And, yes, we do get prizes. But, yeah. From experience, not a huge gambler, but definitely enjoy my time.
All right. So I'll pose this question to you at home. Is ticket chasing similar to gambling psychology? Are claw machines and prize games built around addictive behavior? Is this harmless nostalgia being overanalyzed? Are kids learning reward systems too early? And is there a line between arcade fun and gambling mechanics? Please let us know what you think in the comments. So that's going to bring us into our flag on the play. And tonight's flag on the play goes towards leadership, or maybe lack thereof. Because this conversation isn't really about football. It's about what happens when a player gives everything to a program and then finds out loyalty doesn't always come back the same way. This one centers around former LSU safety Greg Brooks Jr. and former head coach Brian Kelly. Greg Brooks Jr. alleges that after undergoing emergency brain surgery in 2023, he and his family felt abandoned by the very program he gave everything to. Brooks has publicly claimed that LSU and Brian Kelly failed to provide meaningful long-term support during his recovery. Claims that communication became distant. Claims that promises made behind closed doors didn't match what happened when the spotlight disappeared. Brian Kelly later stated that someone from LSU was there every step of the way. But that statement became part of the criticism because many people noticed what he didn't say. He never clearly said he was there personally. He never said he sat in that hospital room. He never said he showed up to have a face-to-face time during the hardest stretch of Greg Brooks Jr.'s recovery. And the critics, that distinction matters because sending someone is not always the same as showing up yourself. And while LSU has disputed portions of those allegations, the public conversation has shifted from football to something bigger. Because this isn't just about medical bills or legal filings. It's about whether a player felt forgotten after he could no longer take the field. Brooks underwent emergency brain surgery after being diagnosed with a rare brain tumor. That's not a torn ACL. This wasn't a season-ending injury. This was life-changing. As a matter of fact, it was life-altering. The kind of moment that makes football feels small. And what people expect to see in that moment was leadership. I'm talking about real leadership. Not a press conference, not statements, but presence. Because when someone sacrifices for your program, your locker room, your wins, your culture, people expect more than distance. They expect humanity. And whether fair or unfair, perception matters. Because when stories begin circulating that a player and his family felt unsupported during the hardest moment of their lives, people start asking uncomfortable questions. Where was the relationship? Where was the support? Where was the coach that talks about family culture when the cameras are no longer on? Football programs love using the words brotherhood. But brotherhood gets tested when things stop being convenient. It's easy to stand beside players on signing day. It's easy to celebrate them after a big win. It's easy to post graphics and motivational slogans. But what happens when a player can't suit up anymore? What happens when that football no longer benefits the program? That's when you find out who people really are. Because leadership is not measured. When things are easy, leadership shows up in hospital rooms. Leadership shows up when cameras are gone. Leadership shows up when there's nothing to gain. And if players are expected to bleed for programs, then programs better be willing to stand beside players when life bleeds back. Because this isn't about wins and losses. This is about whether family means something or if it's just recruiting language wrapped in a slogan. And for abandoning a player when he is no longer any use to you, Brian Kelly, you have committed a penalty, thus earning you a flag on the play. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the Game Tackle, and thanks for sticking with us. Now it's time for our all-out blitz. And Trill, I want to pose this first question to you, all right? Which athlete in today's game gets too much criticism?
Ooh. Too much criticism. I mean, right now, all athletes are just under so much of a spotlight. No matter where it is, where they go, what they text, which they tweet, which social media nowadays, with everybody having cameras in their back pocket, who isn't? And right now, A.J. Brown. So, of course, he is in the reports a lot with a lot of headaches that he caused in Philadelphia to where they're looking for a trade. It keeps coming back and forth that is he going to go to the Patriots? Is it going to be a post-June 1st trade? But I kind of want to back up to what happened during last season. Why did him and Jalen Hurts fall off? Why wasn't he getting the targets, the looks his way? Why did all of a sudden they switch to a run-heavy offense when, you know, they got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith out there? They kind of just switched everything, and then even when he was getting the balls thrown his way, you saw the attitude. You saw the locker room feel was gone there. And I just think right now it's a lot of scrutiny for a player who still has a lot of talent. Obviously, he has come out that he's battled mental health majority of his career. Here we even saw him on the sideline reading a book about his mental intelligence. And next you know, it's a bestseller out there. So I just think, again, athletes have too much of a spotlight on them. But as of right now, there's been a lot of, I would say, unnecessary spotlight on A.J. Brown.
I hear that, and that is not a bad choice. So, Dylan, let me ask you this question. Which fan base talks the most trash with the least results?
Oh, geez, dude. Talks the most trash with the least results.
Yep.
As much as I don't want to say my own team right now. Oh. The Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins. Yeah, we're all guilty of it. I mean, come on, guys. We talk so much trash throughout the season, and we get nowhere with it, guys. I mean, yeah, the Miami Dolphins. That's my answer there. Damn, that one hurt.
Yeah, I kind of figured that's the route you were going to go. Yep.
I mean, I get it when we have the longest playoff drought. And I know I haven't been quiet over the years. And the thing is I can't be quiet just because of where my backyard is. I'm an hour from Buffalo. I'm in the heart of where Bill's training camp takes place. I'm 10 minutes from Bill's training camp. So with that, I always have to show off the tattoo. Even in the off season, majority of the days, earlier today, I was head to toe in Dolphin gear. It's the off season. I was wearing my orange Dolphins polo with my dunks, Dolphin color. You have to represent. Even though, we haven't won a playoff game since I was a little kid.
Tell me about it. So this question
We're
here,
guilty as charged on that one.
Yeah. So this question here, I'm going to pose to both of you, okay? And we'll start with Dylan, and we'll finish out with you, Trill. Dylan, which team logo is the best in sports?
Ooh. This one right here is tough. But I'm going to go over to the NHL, and I'm going to say the Anaheim Ducks. I think the Anaheim Ducks have one of the coolest logos I've seen in a while. So we're going to go with the Anaheim Ducks.
Oh, actually, I agree with that because it brings back the throwback of the movies. I was a huge Mighty Ducks fan of the movies growing up. I'm actually a sucker for secondary logos. So I got the example of the Vegas Golden Knights. But really, along with this one, if you remember when the Sabres switched for a couple years to their black and red uniforms, the secondary logo, again, I'm going to be biased because at that time the Golden Knights were not born. I was still a Sabres fan. And, of course, on B, they had the B on their shoulder with a blade, the saber going through it, and then their secondary jersey was it right in the middle. Black, it was red jerseys with a big B and the saber going through. It was the most beautiful jerseys ever. I don't know where mine went, but that's my favorite logo.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Game Tackle. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. For Trill, for Dylan, I am Donji, and we are reminding you, never let the pressure get to you. Be the one who applies it. And the way to do that is to blitz every down. We'll see you next time.
1, 2,